I think it's starting. Okay, cool. So hi, I'm Rishona.
I'm Lara.
And then we're doing just like a follow-up to our to our article, but like a second to our last article from like Journal 10, I think it was. So I just have a couple questions that we both like wrote out, and then we'll just kind of talk about them. Just to basically talk about like this past semester with like the pandemic and school and the elections and all that stuff. So lots to talk about. So my first question is, what was the hardest part, or perhaps a specific moment that was very difficult this semester?
Ooh, good question. I guess the hardest part, like, was and still is making connections with people virtually, and specifically whether it's with like classmates or friends from high school and college and stuff. And sometimes it's tough to like make connections with counselors and professors. And I'm sure like a lot of students are trying to like shape their semester into what it would have been like by going to campus, but I'm staying home, and that's gonna make it tricky. But good luck to them, I guess. And you're like kind of doing a little bit of a hybrid sort of situation.
Yeah, we were doing a hybrid, so like usually classes are like twice a week most of the time. Sometimes you might have a class that's 3 times a week or once a week. But so they basically they canceled all one class a week basically, because those classes are like longer. They're like 4 hours a week for one class. But so they canceled that because you're not allowed to be in like a classroom for more than an hour and 40 minutes. So they basically, like, I had my poetry class was supposed to be like once a week, and it was supposed to be 4 hour like class, but then they cut that in half. And so like basically they made all classes like twice a week. So one class you're doing in person, and then one class you're doing over Zoom online. So we did that, and I think like for me, like the hardest part wasn't necessarily making the connections. I'm also like a senior, so it's like definitely different in that sense because I wasn't necessarily trying to make connections.
You got your people already.
Yeah, I mean, the only connections I was really trying to make was like with my professors, and I think that they were also trying just as hard to make the same connections with us. So it was like kind of like we met in the middle. It wasn't like I was like, I also wasn't like at home. Like I did have a hybrid thing, so it was a little bit easier in that sense. I think the hardest part for me this semester was just finding motivation to do work. It was so hard to find motivation. And there were so many students like who were also in the same boat. I think there was one day in particular I remember waking up and I just couldn't get out of bed. And I was so anxious and I couldn't get out of bed. And I remember it was either the following day. Yeah, it was the following day. My roommate experienced the same thing. We just both could not get out of bed. We were both just very, very like down and just had no motivation. And I remember like specifically going to class that day because I was like, just to get out, just like to like give myself that. And then I got like an email like that later that night, and my professor had been like, I'm extending this assignment because like no one submitted it. And I was like we're all in the same boat, which is very interesting. Another thing that I had difficulty with was there was one class that I could never so at one time I was sick and I wasn't sure if it was like COVID related or not. So I had gotten tested. And because I had the symptom, they like tested me in a separate facility. But because I got the symptoms on my ID card, so that's kind of how they were tracking you. They made you like go get tested once a week. And if you didn't get tested, you weren't allowed access into the building. So all of our buildings are like ID tab access. And so if you weren't like, if your ID like had a hold on it, you couldn't get in the building. So basically when I was sick that day, they put a hold on my ID and they never took it off. So I couldn't get into my classes, which was so frustrating because I didn't know why. Like they were like, you have to quarantine until like you have a negative result or your symptoms go away. And by the next day I got my results back and I was negative. So I knew that I like didn't test positive. I knew I didn't have COVID. And I remember going to class the next day and they were like, you can't come into the building. And this had happened 3 times after. And so that was also very difficult. And so like I remember like very frustratingly being like, I have like a presentation in this class, like I would like to get like let into my classroom, and trying to call someone and no one was answering too, which was very difficult. And so I think everyone was just very much trying to make the best of it all, and it just kind of just like I think I noticed that a lot of people were lacking motivation, like even when I was asking for help no one was helping me. So I think it was like that was like the biggest thing. I kind of went off on a tangent, but
That's all good. It's nice, or not nice, but it's interesting to hear the problems with being on campus, because I I don't know. I guess you get like more of an experience, but there are more things you have to worry about and deal with. And
yeah,
it's
in a
scary.
way. They're making us get tested now twice a week, um,
Mm,
which isn't bad, but I do think that the testing facility is very far from where I live, and so
yeah.
for me to get tested is definitely out of my way. I'm not gonna complain though, because like I like knowing that I'm getting tested for free all the time, and I have
Yeah.
like usually students are just in and out. Like other people have been like to get a free test have been waiting hours in line. So it is nice to have that kind of um I guess like in a way like reassurance that I like don't have it, you know?
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
and I feel safe about that. But okay, moving on to the next question because that took forever. So what was the best part about the semester for you?
Ooh. Uh, well, I mean, even though it was all virtual for me, um, I really did like my classes. Like it's scary choosing classes sometimes, especially at UMass, because it's so massive and they have like a gazillion things and classes, yet they all fill up really quickly. So that's interesting. Um, but I
Yeah.
keep telling myself, oh, I gotta take advantage of it because I'm paying for this and I gotta have the perfect classes. But I don't know. I should be happy that I have so many options. And then the majority of my teachers and professors were all supportive and understanding and flexible with things. And I appreciated that. And I appreciated like having more control over what I got to learn. Um, like I took a woman's history kind of class, which I like would have never gotten to take in high school, which was essentially men's history. So
Yep.
that was nice. And then I'm also just lucky to be hanging out with my parents more, even though it's difficult sometimes, especially politically, but them. And then I'm with my boyfriend, which is very important. And if I was on campus, I'd be far away. So I'm lucky I got that. But what was the
Yeah.
best part for you?
Definitely also the classes. I think I had the most like the best professors this semester. I loved my classes. I'm a senior, so I was able to take the classes I really wanted to, which was really cool. In a way. I got a dog, and he's
Yeah.
the best thing ever. And he's so sweet. He's a little mad at me right now, because
Oh,
he like his paws were like irritated or whatever. So I took him to the vet and I have to spray his paws, and he doesn't like the spray. So
oh
he's
no.
but he's sleeping under the table now. I think also the best part of the semester was um my apartment has been amazing. I am living on my own, and it's so
Ooh.
cool to be like, oh, I'm living my own, you know, because
Mhm.
I don't know, it's nice to have my like a space outside of school. This is my first time living off campus during the semester, so it's nice to have that like separation from school and like
Mhm.
home. I think um it allows me to relax when I'm home instead of like, because I feel like in the dorms I was never very relaxed. I was always like, I'm in school, everything's happening
Yeah.
all at once, there's so many people, there's so many things going on. So this allows me to have more of a quieter like home, I think. So I think those are my best parts of the semester.
And you have a roommate this semester?
Mhm.
Okay,
I have
cool.
two roommates.
Okay.
But I mean my own room, but like two roommates, like housemates, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and they're chill. They're chill. I think sometimes it can get difficult to live with someone else, but
Mhm.
we have grown to very much love each other and like
Aw,
with our like needs and wants and the way we live with each other. They love my dog too, so that's always nice.
good.
um, but yeah, he's a great little companion.
What's
Um,
his name?
his name is Ollie, like short for
Oh,
Oliver. Um,
that's really sweet.
he's like a German Shepherd. So he like gets protective now. He saw a mouse and he like
Oh,
jumped across my room to like go at the mouse. The mouse just ran, so I don't know what he was gonna do with it, but
okay.
yeah. Okay. The third question is, so is your school planning on changing anything about the structure of the class next semester? More logistical thing. Are you still gonna be home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's okay. It's not ideal. I would like to meet new people.
Yeah.
It's very like isolated. Like I don't live in the city, so I'm just in the middle of Cowtown or whatever I like to call it. Um,
Back at home, I'm also in the middle of Cowtown, so
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but structurally, I guess maybe like instructors are in contact and trying to think like, oh, what worked, what didn't work with all the Zoom stuff. But I know like last semester they had open the campus to only like a small amount of people. Now it's like open to 60%
Oh,
of everyone. So
oh,
yeah, I
okay.
was like, okay.
Improvement there. Um,
And
yeah, I
yeah.
think someone recently sent an email. I'm trying to remember what it said. It was like a lot of things basically are staying the same from last semester. If anything, we're getting more stricter in terms of like now we have to get 2 tests a week. They're not letting us back on campus if you haven't gotten your flu shots. Um, so just making sure like that's all up to date and like everyone's healthy in that sense. There's also something where I think in Boston everything is now like 20 or 25% capacity. So like
Hmm.
restaurants and like even my job, like it went down from like 45 to like 25. I think I went home for a bit and it came back and was like, no, we're at 25% now. And I was like, oh, okay. And thinking on an email saying that like it would remain the same for classes and stuff like that. But it's up until January 27th. So after the 27th, they're potentially going to open up more stuff.
Ooh.
So depending, I think, on how everything pans out in January. But I think everything's pretty much the same structurally. I think one thing is really cool that I didn't mention before, what I really liked is that my school has a bunch of cool theaters, right? And it's beautiful theaters. So I go to Emerson College and I've never been in most of them because you can't go unless you have like a ticket or like something like that. I lived in one of like basically the theaters attached to it in the building and it's beautiful. I've always seen pictures, but I've never been in it. And now I have a
Oh,
class next semester in it and I'm so excited. Like that would be so fun to have a class in that theater.
what
Um,
class is it?
it's a marketing class.
Oh.
It's nothing like important, but they just need like the space, you know? So
Yeah.
that's why. Okay. Fourth question is about the election.
Fun.
How did that pan out for you? I know you were home, but like, was there much talk about it in your classes or um
Ooh.
among students or like with professors or no?
Let's see. Well, overall, I was just really relieved and like I feel like I can't really say much at home and I have to kind of keep more to myself and I can have like the passion, I guess, that some people have, or I guess people on various points of the whole spectrum. But so I can't really say much at home, but in class, I think I go to UMass Amherst, which is very liberal artsy, so everyone was like, "Yay!" But I don't know. We're not supposed to talk politics in the classroom, but it always happens. And I think there was like one dude who felt uncomfortable because he was a big fan of the other side, and we're like, "Oh, sorry, Trevor." I don't know what his name is.
Sorry.
um, and then what else? I guess, oh, even with like in terms of the riot at the US Capitol, a lot has been going on after the
Yeah.
the whole election and stuff, and it's like they're criticizing the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and then they're like just going and destroying everything, and it's like one thing is for a good reason, like it's no one's trying to hurt anyone, and they're all like, oh, screw Biden. It's like he's gonna hurt people. It's like, no, he's not gonna hurt anyone, but if you're gonna go around and cause a lot of chaos, you're gonna hurt people.
Yeah, you are gonna hurt people. But yeah, I mean, same. It's really interesting because I always forget. I go to like such a liberal school, so like everyone at Emerson is like liberal.
Yeah.
And there are a couple people that aren't. But honestly, like they're very quiet. I've heard.
Right.
Because no one really like the majority is liberal, so I think the minority is not, and so then they kind of feel attacked in a way sometimes. And I've heard like in the past they've potentially been bullied too, so it's very interesting because like the different sides, you know. The lectures this semester were, it was crazy, very tense. No one really talked. Our classes were just all so quiet. Some of my professors were able to read the room and be like I remember one of my professors, her name was Alden Jones, and I think we were in class and we were all just not saying anything, and then all of a sudden, like, because she was like, how are you guys, like, and then she was like, you know what, we're not gonna continue, let's write. And that helped a lot, and it was definitely a writing class, but she was able to read the room and be like, okay, yeah, we're all stressed about the election, so let's like take a breather, and like that helped. And some of my classes we have talked about it. I mean, I think at Emerson we've always been pretty open about politics and like about it. So we're like a communication school, so we just like kind of go off of that, and we communicate a lot. We talk a lot about things that are going on around us, and so I think I like that about Emerson. But it's just it's a lot. It is a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with. But it ended up being like good turnout for us in the end. I don't know how I feel about Inauguration Day. I'm a little on edge about it. We'll see.
Yeah.
But one step at a time. Okay, and then do you want to do one more question? Because I know we're kind of running out of time.
Sure. Ooh, which one do you want to do?
Now I'm like debating. Okay, how about this one? Because I feel like this is kind of important. It's more about school. But now that we've made it through our fall semester during the pandemic, what do you wish you've done differently, and how will this play a role in your spring semester?
I guess in the fall I was just kind of scared to like get involved in clubs and activities, which is weird virtually anyway. Like I can't like virtually do cross country or something. But I know there are like lit mag clubs, and a cappella would be so fun, but again, I don't know if all these events are kind of happening or these activities, but I'll look into it. So I might reach out and I can meet people there. And then I guess maybe I should like have a bedtime and like move more, because I'm just hanging out in my room most of the day, and I'm not like going from class to class or doing sports. So maybe just being healthier and looking out for myself, and I don't know, getting like not being so hard on myself. Yeah.
I think mine is weirdly so being a little bit more hard on myself. I think last semester I mean, yes, we're in a pandemic, and yes, I was very unmotivated, and all things considering, I had every right to be, and I should be easier on myself. I think there were times I was like just stuck in the cycle of, oh, we're living in a pandemic, it's okay to do this and this again and this again. And I think now I'm starting to get, I think naturally though too, I'm starting to get sick of it. Like we've been in this for almost a year now. Like honestly, we're cutting close to a year now. And so like the world keep going, like gonna continue to go. Like I'm still gonna graduate by the end of the semester. And so need to not pick up the pace, but like in a way, just prioritize better. And know how much leniency I can give myself and how much I maybe need to be a little bit more hard on myself and push myself a little bit more. I'm glad I have a dog. I'm glad I have Ollie. I mean, like, he helps me get out of bed in the morning. He helps me like get my exercise and have more of a structure, because I know like at the very least I need a schedule and a structure for him. Like I need to feed him at this time. I need to take him on walks then and wake up for him, because he, like, you know what I mean? Like in the morning he has to go out. So that like makes me go to bed earlier. That makes me wake up a little bit earlier, and that like kind of gets my coffee in me and like going. I'm excited for the semester. I think that this break was needed, and now I can just re-energize and then be like, okay, I'm ready for the semester. So I think my goal for this semester is to be a little more hard on myself.
In a good way.
In a good way, in the balanced way, because I think last semester I tried to balance and then it ended up being too much on the lenient side, and so trying to find that good balance, and keep working on that. So
Get there.
Yeah, we will. Okay, I'm going to end the call. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
All right, stop the recording at least. How do I? Oh, stop.